Have you ever woken up at 3 in the morning with your heart racing, your mind flooded with 1,000 scenarios of what could go wrong? Have you ever felt that nameless weight in your chest, that anguish that whispers you won't be able to do it, that the future is an imminent threat, that everything is falling apart, even when in fact nothing concrete has happened yet? There comes a point in life when anxiety ceases to be just a passing worry and becomes an invisible prison. A cage built, not of iron bars, but of thoughts that repeat in an endless loop, of fears that grow in the darkness of the early morning, of a suffocating feeling that you are losing control of everything, of your life, of your future, even of who you are. And here is the question that echoes in the silence of your most vulnerable moments. If God truly cares for you, why do you still feel this paralyzing emptiness? Why can't faith silence the cries of anxiety? 2,000 years ago, a man climbed a mountain and began to speak about something everyone felt, but no one could name. He didn't use complex theological language. He didn't offer magic formulas or empty promises that everything would be easy. Instead, he pointed to the sky and said, "Look at the birds." It seems too simple, doesn't it? Almost naive. But there's something profoundly disturbing about that simplicity. Because if you really stop to observe, not just see but observe, you'll realize something that defies all the logic of your anxiety. Birds don't have bank accounts. They don't do 5-year strategic planning. They don't lose sleep imagining catastrophic scenarios. And yet, they sing, they fly, they live. Therefore, I tell you, do not worry about your life, what you will eat or drink, or about your body, what you will wear. Matthew 6:25 isn't just a pretty verse to put on a motivational mug. It's a declaration of war against the tyranny of anxiety. It's Jesus looking directly at your panic at 3 in the morning and saying something that sounds almost offensive. You're worrying about the wrong things. But wait. Before you close this text thinking it's just another superficial discourse on positive thinking and trusting in God, let me make a confession that may resonate more truthfully than any sermon you've ever heard. Anxiety is not a lack of faith. It is not a sin. It is not spiritual weakness. Anxiety is your mind's way of trying to protect you from an unpredictable world. It's your brain's fire alarm going off even when there's no fire. It's the result of a nervous system that evolved to detect threats, but is now trapped in a world where the threats aren't tigers in the jungle, but bills to pay, broken relationships, an uncertain future, and the overwhelming feeling that you're not enough. So when Jesus talks about anxiety, he's not minimizing your pain. He's offering something far more radical, a new way of existing in the world. And here's what few people tell you. Jesus' teachings on anxiety in Matthew 6 aren't 7 motivational tips. They are 7 layers of a truth so profound that when you truly understand it, your life is never the same again. The first layer is almost brutal in its honesty. You can't add a single hour to your life by worrying. Think about it. Really think about it. How many hours have you wasted imagining tragedies that never happened? How many nights of sleep have you sacrificed on the altar of worry? And in the end, did any of those worries change anything? Did any of your catastrophic mental scenarios prevent what you feared or prepare you for what actually happened? Anxiety is a worthless investment. It's wasting your vital energy on a currency that buys absolutely nothing. But Jesus doesn't stop there. Because acknowledging that worry is pointless doesn't magically make it disappear. So he goes deeper. Consider how the lilies of the field grow. They do not labor or spin. There's something hypnotic about this image. Lilies do absolutely nothing to be beautiful. They simply are. They don't strive. They don't compare themselves. They don't panic thinking they aren't good enough flowers. They just exist, rooted in the earth, facing the sun, and their beauty happens naturally. And here's the second layer, the one that cuts deeper. You're trying to be the God of your own life. Yes, I said that. And it hurts, doesn't it? Because at the heart of all anxiety lies a desire for absolute control. The belief that if you just plan enough, worry enough, anticipate every possible scenario, you'll be able to shield your life from suffering. But you can't. You never could. And this illusion of control is slowly killing you. Anxiety is the price you pay for trying to hold the entire universe in your hands. It's the exhaustion of carrying a burden that was never meant for you to carry. And Jesus is saying, put that on the ground. But here lies the terror and the liberation of this message. Putting it down means trusting. It means letting go. It means accepting that there are things you cannot control, and that perhaps, just perhaps, there is someone greater, wiser, infinitely more capable, taking care of the details that paralyze you with fear. If that is how God clothes the grass of the field, which is here today and tomorrow is thrown into the fire, will He not much more clothe you? You of little faith? Little faith. These words echo as an accusation, but also as an invitation. Because little faith is not a lack of faith. It is faith that is still learning to breathe. It is faith that doubts, that trembles, that questions, but that is still present. And perhaps this is the third layer that changes everything. You don't need to have perfect faith. You just need to have enough faith to take the next step. Anxiety demands certainty. It wants guarantees. It wants to know exactly how everything will end before it even begins. But faith works in the completely opposite way. Faith says, I don't know what will happen tomorrow, but I know who holds tomorrow. And that's not naivete. It's courage. It's the courage to live in an uncertain world without letting uncertainty paralyze you. But Jesus isn't finished yet. Because He knows that even when you understand all of this intellectually, there's still a voice in your head whispering, but what if I lose my job? What if it goes wrong? What if I'm not capable? This is where He offers the fourth layer, perhaps the most practical of all. But seek first His kingdom and His righteousness, and all these things will be given to you as well. Wait, all these things? Everything you need? Everything you worry about? Will it all be added? This sounds too good to be true. It sounds like a spiritual bargain. You do your spiritual part, and God will take care of the material part. But that's not it. It's not a transaction. It's a transformation. When you seek the kingdom of God first, something changes in the way you see the world. Your priorities are rearranged. What once seemed urgent loses its importance. What once consumed you with anxiety becomes just another circumstance, not an existential threat. Seeking the kingdom is not about neglecting your responsibilities. It's about putting your responsibilities in the right context. It's about remembering that you are more than your job, more than your bank account, more than any temporary crisis you may be facing. And when you live from that place, not of denial of reality, but of correct perspective, things really start to align. Not magically, not effortlessly, but in a way that makes sense, in a way that allows you to breathe, in a way that allows you to sleep at night, even when not everything is resolved. But there is a fifth layer, and this is the one that most people cannot accept. Therefore, do not worry about tomorrow, for tomorrow will worry about itself. Each day has enough trouble of its own. Each day has enough trouble of its own. What a strange phrase. What a brutally honest phrase. Jesus isn't saying your life will be perfect. He isn't promising there won't be problems. He's saying the exact opposite. There will be problems. Every day has its challenges. But you don't need to carry tomorrow's problems today. Have you ever noticed how anxiety always lives in the future? It's never in the present. In the present moment, this very moment right now, you're probably okay. You're breathing. You're alive. But your mind is somewhere weeks, months, years ahead, rehearsing tragedies that may never happen. And while you're mentally living in a catastrophic future, you're missing out on the only thing you truly possess, the present moment. This is the radical wisdom that most Eastern philosophies have discovered, but which Jesus taught 2 millennia ago. Live one day at a time. Not because the other days don't matter, but because you don't have access to the other days. You only have this one. And when you truly live this day, not on autopilot, not panicking about tomorrow, but truly present, you discover you have resources you didn't know you had. You discover you're stronger than you thought, more capable, more resilient. And this brings us to the sixth layer, which few people realize. Anxiety is a problem of perspective, not of circumstance. Why do you worry about clothes? Consider how the lilies of the field grow. Look, observe, pay attention. The word Jesus uses is not just to look, it means to observe attentively, to contemplate, to truly see. Because when you're anxious, your vision narrows. You can only see the problem. You can only see what's missing. You can only see the danger. It's as if your entire existence is reduced to a single point of tension. But when Jesus says, "Look at the birds, see the lilies," he is expanding your vision. He is saying, "Lift up your eyes. There is a whole world happening around you. There is beauty. There is provision. There is evidence everywhere that God takes care of things." And that's not denying your problems. It's putting your problems into the context of something bigger. Remember that the same God who makes the sun rise every day, who keeps the planets in orbit, who feeds the birds and clothes the lilies with incomparable beauty, that same God is aware of you. He knows your needs. He sees your tears. He understands your pain. And if he takes care of birds that only live for one season, how much more will he take care of you? But here is the seventh and final layer, the most difficult of all. You need to choose what you will trust. No one can serve two masters. You cannot serve God and money. This is the part that bothers me, because Jesus is putting his finger on the wound. He is saying that at the root of all anxiety lies a question of trust. Do you trust in God, or do you trust in yourself? Do you trust in divine provision, or do you only trust in your own effort? And make no mistake, it's not a question of being irresponsible or not working. It's about where you place your ultimate security. It's about what lets you sleep at night, or what keeps you awake. If your peace of mind depends solely on your bank account, you will live in perpetual anxiety, because there will always be threats to your financial stability. If your peace depends on everything going right, you will never have peace, because life is unpredictable. If your peace depends on you having absolute control, you are condemned to a life of constant tension, because you can't control anything but your own choices. But if your peace is rooted in something greater, in someone who transcends circumstances, who is constant when everything changes, who is faithful even when you are unfaithful, then you have access to a peace that surpasses all understanding. A peace that makes no sense to those who look from the outside. A peace that exists even in the midst of the storm. A peace that is not the absence of problems, but the presence of God. And this peace, this liberation from paralyzing anxiety, doesn't come from a change in your circumstances. It comes from a change in your perspective. It comes from choosing, every single day, who you will trust. It comes from waking up at 3 a.m. with a racing heart, and instead of panicking, whispering in the dark, "I don't know how this will turn out, but I trust that I'm not alone." It comes from looking to the uncertain future, and, instead of trying to control every detail, opening your hands and saying, "Thy will be done." It comes from living one day at a time, trusting that the God who brought you this far will not abandon you now. But here's what few people tell you. This isn't easy. It never has been. It never will be. Because living without anxiety in an anxious world is an act of rebellion. It's swimming against the current. It's choosing to trust when everything teaches you to doubt. It's choosing peace when everything around you screams worry. And perhaps that is the true miracle of Jesus' teachings on anxiety. It's not that he offers a magic solution. It's that he offers a journey, a daily practice, a constant choice. Every day you wake up and choose, today, will I live on autopilot with anxiety, or will I practice trust? Today, will I carry the weight of the world, or will I remember that I am not God? Today, will I worry about tomorrow, or will I live fully in the present? And some days you will fail. Some days anxiety will win. Some days you will drown in worries. But on other days, more and more days, you'll feel something different. A lightness, a deeper breath, a peace that doesn't depend on everything being perfect. And in those days, you will understand what Jesus really meant when he pointed to the birds and the lilies. He wasn't downplaying your problems. He was inviting you to a completely new way of existing in the world, a way of life where you are not a slave to anxiety, where you are not a hostage to the future, where you are free to live, truly live, not just survive. And that freedom, that peace that surpasses all understanding, is available to you, now, today. But you need to make a choice, and that choice will be repeated tomorrow, and the day after tomorrow, and the day after that. Because overcoming anxiety isn't a one-time event, it's a journey. It's a 1,000-step path, and each step is an act of faith. So the question isn't, are you going to overcome anxiety once and for all? The question is, what choice will you make today? There's something profoundly human about wanting guarantees, about wanting to know that everything will be all right before taking the first step, about wanting to have the complete map before starting the journey. But life doesn't work that way, and neither does faith. When you really delve into Jesus' words in Matthew 6, you begin to realize that he's not offering an instruction manual for a trouble-free life. He's offering something far more revolutionary, a new way of dealing with uncertainty. Because this is the truth that nobody wants to admit. Life is fundamentally uncertain. You don't know what will happen tomorrow. You have no control over the economy, over other people's decisions, over illnesses, over accidents, over anything beyond your own choices at this very moment. And it is this uncertainty that fuels anxiety. It is the not knowing. It is the fear of the unknown. It is the feeling of walking in the dark, without knowing if the next step will be on solid ground or into an abyss. So when Jesus says, "Do not worry," he is not saying, "Don't be responsible," or "Don't plan for the future." He is saying something much deeper. Don't let the uncertainty of life steal the peace of the present moment. And that changes everything. Because anxiety isn't just an uncomfortable feeling. It's a thief. It steals your sleep. It steals your joy. It steals your ability to be present with the people you love. It steals your creativity, your energy, your very life. Have you ever stopped to calculate how many precious moments you've missed because you were mentally elsewhere, worried about something that hasn't happened yet and may never happen? How many conversations have you had where your body was present, but your mind was miles away, rehearsing future problems? How many potentially wonderful experiences have you missed out on because you were stuck in a mental loop of worry? Anxiety doesn't just make you suffer because of what might happen. It makes you suffer twice, once in the present, anticipating the pain, and again in the future, if it actually happens. And most of the time, it doesn't even happen. Studies show that 85% of the things we worry about never materialize. And of the 15% that do happen, 79% of people report that they handled it better than they imagined. This means you're expending your vital energy on scenarios that will likely never exist, and even if they do, you'll be more capable than you think. So why do we do this? Why do we choose anxiety when we can choose peace? Because at some deep, unconscious level, anxiety gives us an illusion of control. If I worry enough, if I anticipate every possible scenario, if I plan for every contingency, then I will be prepared, then I will be safe, then I will be in control. But it's an illusion, and it's a cruel illusion because the cost is your own life. When Jesus points to the birds of the air, he is doing something that seems simple, but is profoundly subversive. He is challenging their need for control. Birds don't have life insurance. They don't have retirement plans. They don't have guarantees that there will be food tomorrow. And yet, they sing. They live fully in the present moment. And here's the point. They are not irresponsible. They build nests. They store food when possible. They care for their young. But they are not paralyzed by anxiety about the future. There is a huge difference between responsible planning and paralyzing worry, between taking care of your responsibilities and carrying the weight of the world. And that difference lies in the source of your actions. Do you act out of fear or out of trust? Do you work because you are trying to control the future, or because you are doing your part and trusting God for the rest? It's a subtle distinction, but one that completely changes the quality of your life. There's an interesting Greek word used in this passage from Matthew 6, merimnao. It's usually translated as to worry, but the literal meaning is to divide the mind. To have a fragmented mind, pulled in opposite directions, constantly distracted. And isn't that exactly what anxiety does? It divides you. One part of you is trying to live in the present, but the other is stuck in the future. One part wants to trust, but the other can't let go of control. One part knows the truth, but the other continues to believe the lies of worry. Jesus is offering wholeness, a whole mind, an undivided life, complete presence. Seek first the kingdom of God. First place, not the only place, not exclusive, but first, priority. And here's what most people misunderstand. Seeking the kingdom doesn't mean neglecting everything else. It means putting everything else in the right context. It's like those science experiments where you have a container full of large stones, and then you add medium-sized stones, then small stones, then sand, then water. If you start with sand and water, the large stones won't fit. But if you start with the large stones, everything else fits into the spaces. The kingdom of God is the big rock. Your relationship with God, your identity in Christ, your eternal values, these are the things that should come in first. And when they are in place, there is room for everything else: work, relationships, responsibilities, plans. But if you try to fit everything else in first and leave God for later, there's never room, there's never time, there's never peace. And so you live in perpetual anxiety because you're trying to make life work without the foundation that makes everything possible. All these things will be added to you. It's not a promise of wealth. It's not a promise of an easy life. It's a promise of provision, of sufficiency, that you will have what you need when you need it. And there's something powerful about that, because anxiety is always focused on what's missing, on what might be missing, on the possibility of scarcity. But when you live from the kingdom, you live from abundance. Not necessarily material abundance, but an abundance of grace, of provision, of divine presence. You begin to see evidence everywhere that God is taking care of you. Not in a magical way, but in a practical, real, tangible way. An opportunity that arises at the right time. A person who appears when you need them. A solution you hadn't considered. A strength you didn't know you had. And over time, you build a history of faithfulness. You look back and see all the times you thought you wouldn't make it, but you did. All the times you thought it was the end, but it was just a bend in the road. All the times God provided when you least expected it. And this history becomes your weapon against anxiety. When fear whispers, "What if you don't succeed?" you can answer, "But I've always succeeded so far." When doubt asks, "What if God abandons you?" you can answer, "But He has never abandoned me before." It's not blind faith. It's faith based on evidence. Evidence from your own life. Evidence of God's faithfulness throughout the generations. Evidence that the same God who cared for Abraham, Moses, David, and Mary, that same God is committed to you. But here's the part that requires courage. You need to do your part before you see God's provision. It's easy to say, "I trust in God," when you have money in the bank, when everything is going well, when the future seems secure. The real test of trust comes when you're on the edge, when provisions are running out, when there's no plan B, when you need to take the step without knowing if there will be solid ground on the other side. That's when faith stops being a beautiful concept and becomes a visceral decision. And Jesus doesn't hide this. Do not worry about tomorrow, for tomorrow will worry about itself. Each day has enough trouble of its own. Each day will have its challenges. He doesn't promise a life without difficulties. He promises that you don't have to carry the weight of all difficulties at once. Think of it this way. If you had to carry a 20-kilogram backpack, you could do it. Tiring, but possible. But if someone said, you need to carry not only your backpack for today, but also for tomorrow, and the day after tomorrow, and next week, all at the same time, you would be crushed. That's exactly what anxiety does. It makes you carry the weight of days that haven't even happened yet. And then you wonder why you're exhausted, why you can't breathe, why you feel like you're going to collapse. Jesus' proposal is revolutionary in its simplicity. Carry only the burden of today. Only today. Tomorrow, when today becomes the present, you will have the strength to carry the burden of that day, but you don't need to carry it now. And this is not escapism. It's not ignoring real problems. It's practical wisdom about how human resilience works. You have the resources to handle today's challenges. You don't have the resources to handle the challenges of every future day simultaneously. Nobody does. So when you try, you burn out. You become paralyzed. You develop chronic anxiety. But when you bring your attention to the present, to this day, this hour, this moment, you discover that you are capable. You can breathe, you can think, you can act. And action, even small action, is the antidote to anxiety. Because anxiety is paralyzed energy. It's all that potential trapped in a loop of worry that leads nowhere. When you take action, even if it's just a small step, you break the cycle. You break free from paralysis. You regain some sense of agency. And Jesus is inviting you to this daily practice, to wake up every day and make a conscious choice. Today I will trust. Today I will do my part. Today I will live fully, without drowning in what might happen tomorrow. It's a matter of practice. It's not instant perfection. It's a muscle you develop with repetition. In the first few days, you'll forget. You'll wake up and immediately go into anxiety mode. But then you remember, and you make the choice again. You bring your attention to the present. You remember the promises. You choose to trust. And with time, it becomes more natural, not automatic. It always requires choice. But more natural, like a path in the forest that becomes clearer the further you walk it. And then, one day, you'll realize something surprising. You went through the whole day without drowning in anxiety. You had worries, yes. You dealt with challenges, of course. But you weren't crushed. You weren't paralyzed. You lived. And that is victory. It's not the absence of challenges. It's the presence of peace amidst the challenges. That's exactly what Jesus promised. Not that birds never face storms, but that they trust that when the storm passes, there will still be sky to fly in. It's not that lilies never face droughts, but it's that they are rooted in something deeper than temporary circumstances. And you can be too. You too can have roots that go deeper than the problems on the surface. You too can have a peace that remains even when everything around you is in turmoil. But this requires a decision, a daily decision, a moment-by-moment choice. Where will you place your trust? In your own effort or in something greater? In the illusion of control or in the security of being held by hands bigger than your own? Anxiety will always whisper that you need to have everything figured out, that you need to have all the answers, that you need to be in complete control. But faith whispers something different. You don't need to have everything figured out. You just need to trust in the one who has already figured everything out. And that's the invitation. Not to a life without challenges, but to a life where challenges don't define you, where anxiety doesn't enslave you, where you are free to live, truly live, with all the uncertainty and all the beauty that this implies. There is a particular silence that occurs when anxiety finally lets go of its grip. It's not just the absence of noise, it's the absence of tension. It's when your shoulders relax without you realizing it, when you take a deep breath and the air reaches the bottom of your lungs without obstruction, when your mind finally stops racing in circles and simply rests. This silence is what Jesus was offering when he said, "Come to me, all you who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest." It's not a promise of an easy life. It's a promise of a restful soul, even when life is difficult. But to reach that rest, there is a journey. And that journey passes through 7 truths that, when truly understood, not only alleviate anxiety, they transform the very way you exist in the world. The first truth is brutally honest. You cannot control the future, no matter how much you worry. It sounds obvious when you say it like that, but live as if you truly believe it. How many hours do you spend trying to predict every possible scenario? How many contingency plans do you make for your contingency plans? How many times do you rehearse conversations that will never happen, imagine tragedies that will never materialize, foresee crises that exist only in your mind? Anxiety convinces you that all this worrying is productive, that you're preparing yourself, that you're being responsible. But the truth is, you're just torturing yourself. There is a difference between planning and worrying. Planning is action. Worrying is paralysis. Planning has a purpose and an end. Worrying is an endless loop with no solution. Jesus is not saying not to plan. He is saying not to drown in paralyzing worry. Not to sacrifice the present on an altar of imaginary futures. Which of you, by worrying, can add a single hour to your life? The answer is nobody. Never. In all of human history, nobody has added a single second to their life by worrying. But millions have subtracted years from their lives because of worry, because of stress, high blood pressure, and chronic anxiety that destroys the body from the inside out. So the first choice is to accept this uncomfortable truth. There are limits to your control, and that's okay. You don't have to be the god of your own life. The second truth complements the first. Your perception of need is probably distorted. Do not worry about your life, what you will eat or drink, or about your body, what you will wear. Is not life more important than food, and the body more important than clothes? Jesus is asking a rhetorical question that cuts deep. Are you focusing on the right things? Because anxiety has this strange ability to make small things seem huge and huge things seem small. You can be alive, healthy, with people who love you, but all your energy is focused on a financial worry. You can have food, shelter, and security, but you are consumed by anxiety about your appearance or your performance at work. Not that these things don't matter. They do matter. But they aren't the most important thing. And when you treat them as if they were, you live in a constant state of crisis. Here's a question that might change your perspective. If you died tomorrow, would your current worries matter? Hard, I know, but necessary. Because death has this way of clarifying priorities. When you're on your deathbed, you're not going to think, "Oh, I wish I had worried more." You're going to think about the people you loved, the moments you lived, the meaning you found. So why do you live as if your current concerns are as critical as you make them seem? Jesus is inviting you to a complete reevaluation of what truly matters. And when you do that, when you truly look at your life from the perspective of eternity, your anxieties begin to lose their power. Not because your problems have disappeared, but because you see them in the right context. The third truth is about evidence. There is proof everywhere that God cares. Look at the birds of the air. They do not sow or reap or store away in barns, and yet your heavenly Father feeds them. Are you not much more valuable than they? Jesus is not asking you to have blind faith. He is pointing to observable evidence. Look around you. Nature works. The birds are fed. The lilies bloom. The sun rises every day. The seasons follow one another. There is an order. There is providence. There is a care that permeates creation. And you are part of that creation. Not just a part, you are the highlight, made in God's image, known by name, loved personally. If God cares for creatures that live only one season, how much more will He care for you? But here's the challenge. You need to learn to see, to truly observe, to notice. Because anxiety blinds you. It focuses your attention only on what's missing, on what could go wrong, on what's threatening. You stop seeing beauty. You stop seeing provision. You stop seeing evidence of care. And so you live as if you were alone in a hostile universe, when in reality, you are surrounded by evidence of a God who cares. Start noticing. Start being grateful. Start documenting. Every time something goes right, a door opens, or you receive unexpected help, take note. Remember. Record it. Over time, you will build a mental archive of divine faithfulness. And when anxiety whispers, "What if God doesn't show up this time?" you will have a record to answer, but He has always shown up before. The fourth truth is about priorities. When you seek the kingdom first, everything else falls into place. But seek first His kingdom and His righteousness, and all these things will be given to you as well. This isn't magic, it's principle. It's about what happens when you reorganize your life around what truly matters. When the kingdom comes first, your decisions change, your priorities change, your values change. And when these things change, the natural consequences are different. You stop making choices based solely on fear or greed. You start making choices based on wisdom and character. And those choices lead to different results. You stop sacrificing your integrity for financial security. And you discover that integrity opens doors that manipulation never could. You stop treating people as means to your ends. And you discover that genuine relationships bring opportunities that superficial networking never could. You stop living in constant survival mode. And you discover that when you are rooted in a greater purpose, you have clarity and energy that anxiety would never allow. All these things, food, clothing, basic necessities, will be added. Not because you stopped working, but because you are working from a different place. Not from despair, but from confidence. Not from scarcity, but from abundance. Not from anxiety, but from peace. And that changes everything. The fifth truth is about time. You can only live one day at a time. Therefore, do not worry about tomorrow, for tomorrow will worry about itself. Each day has enough trouble of its own. This may be the hardest truth to accept, because your mind wants to live everywhere, but in the present. It wants to be in the past, dwelling on regrets. It wants to be in the future, anticipating tragedies. But you can't live in the past. It's already happened. And you can't live in the future. It doesn't exist yet. The only thing that's real, the only thing where you have power, is now. And now is always manageable. You can deal with this moment. You can breathe in this moment. You can do the next right thing in this moment. It's when you try to carry the weight of every moment, all the yesterdays and all the tomorrows, that you collapse. Jesus is offering something that all contemplative traditions have discovered: the practice of presence, of being fully present where you are, of fully doing what you are doing, of fully living this day, this hour, this moment. Not because the future doesn't matter, but because the only way to build a good future is to make good choices now. And you can't make good choices now if your mind is fragmented by 1,000 worries about tomorrow. So bring your attention back, again and again. It's a practice. When you realize you're lost in anxiety about the future, simply note, "I'm doing this again," and gently bring your attention back to the present. What's happening right now? Are you okay right now? Is there anything that needs to be done right now? If yes, do it. If not, rest. Simple. Not easy, but simple. The sixth truth is about vision. You need to learn to see correctly. Consider how the lilies of the field grow. They do not labor or spin. Yet I tell you, not even Solomon in all his splendor was dressed like one of these. There is beauty happening all around you all the time. There is life. There is color. There is evidence of design, of care, of something greater. But you only see it if you choose to see it. Anxiety narrows your vision. It's as if you're looking at life through a straw, All you can see is the problem immediately in front of you. All the context, all the beauty, all the perspective, lost. Jesus is saying, lift up your eyes, look around, see the bigger picture. Observe the evidence of God in action, not to deny their problems, but to put them into context, to remember that they are not all there is, to regain perspective. When was the last time you truly observed a flower, watched a sunset, heard birds singing, not in the background, not distractedly, but truly observed, truly saw? Because when you do that, something changes. You remember there's more to life than your problems. You remember there's beauty, there's order, there's design, there's something worthy of admiration. And this memory is therapeutic. It's restorative. It's the antidote to the narrow vision that anxiety imposes. And finally, the seventh truth. You need to choose who you're going to trust. No one can serve two masters. You cannot serve God and money. Ultimately, it all comes down to this: trust. In whom or in what do you place your ultimate security? Is it your money, your job, your effort, your ability to control circumstances? Or in God? Because you can't have both. You can't trust in God and at the same time live as if everything depends solely on you. You can't say you have faith and at the same time live in constant anxiety about provision. Something has to give. Someone has to be the master of your life. Someone has to be your ultimate security. And the choice isn't between being responsible or irresponsible. It's about where your peace lies. It's about what keeps you awake at night. It's about what determines your decisions. If your peace depends on external circumstances, you will never have peace, because circumstances change. But if your peace is rooted in something, in someone, that doesn't change, that is constant, that is faithful, then you have access to a peace that circumstances cannot touch. And that is the peace that Jesus offers. Not the absence of storms, but divine presence in the midst of the storms. Not a guarantee that everything will be easy, but a guarantee that you will not be alone. And when you live from that place, when you truly choose to trust, anxiety loses its power. It may still appear, but it no longer controls you. You feel the fear, but you do the right thing anyway. You acknowledge the uncertainty, but you move forward nonetheless. You admit you don't have all the answers, but you trust those who do. And this trust, practiced day after day, moment after moment, becomes your foundation, your anchor, your resting place. No matter what happens around you, there is something inside you that remains stable. Not because you are strong, but because you are connected to something greater than yourself. And that's where freedom truly begins. When you stop trying to be the God of your own life and allow God to be God. When you let go of control and trust in greater hands. When you stop carrying the weight of the world and rest in the security of knowing that the world is being held by someone infinitely more capable. This is the journey. These are the 7 truths. They are not magic. They are not an instant formula. They are an invitation to a path that requires daily practice, a path that is sometimes difficult, but a path that leads to something that money cannot buy and circumstances cannot take away. Peace, true peace, the peace that surpasses all understanding. And that peace is available to you, now, today. But you have to choose, every day, every moment. Will you carry the weight of the world, or will you trust in the one who holds the world? Will you live enslaved by anxiety, or will you walk in freedom? The choice is yours, and it starts now. There's a particular moment in the journey of overcoming anxiety that few people talk about. It's the moment when you realize that anxiety wasn't the real problem. It was just a symptom. The real problem was something much deeper. You were afraid that God wasn't enough, not in the abstract theological sense. In the visceral, practical 3 a.m. sense, you were afraid that if you truly let go of control, if you truly trusted completely, God wouldn't show up. Or He would show up, but not in the way you needed Him to. Or He would show up too late. So you held on, you worried, you tried to control. Not because you didn't believe in God, but because you weren't sure if you could count on Him when it really mattered. And that's the deepest layer Jesus is addressing in Matthew 6. It's not just about managing anxiety, it's about fundamental trust in God's goodness and faithfulness. If that is how God clothes the grass of the field, which is here today and tomorrow is thrown into the fire, will He not much more clothe you, you of little faith? Men of little faith, not without faith, little faith, faith that exists but doubts, faith that believes but trembles, faith that confesses with the mouth but hesitates in the heart. And Jesus is not condemning this. He is naming it. He is inviting it. He is saying, your faith may be small, but it doesn't have to stay small. It can grow. But how does faith grow? Not through effort, not through willpower, not by simply deciding to believe more. Faith grows through experience, through risks that pay off, through moments when you let go and discover you didn't fall, through times when you thought you had nothing and something appeared, through a history of divine faithfulness that accumulates in your memory and becomes undeniable evidence. You don't start with unwavering faith. You start with faith the size of a mustard seed. Tiny, fragile, almost imperceptible. But you plant it. You act despite fear. You trust despite doubt. And then something happens. Not magically, not effortlessly, but something happens. A door opens, provision arrives, a solution appears, and your faith grows an inch. And the next time you face uncertainty, you have an extra millimeter of confidence, and then another, and another. Until one day you look back and realize you've traveled a mile of faith that began with that first tremendous step. This is the journey, and no one can do it for you. No one can give you ready-made faith. You have to build it through personal experience of divine faithfulness. But here's what's radical about Jesus' teachings. He's not asking you to be perfect. He's asking you to take the next step. That's all. The next step. Not the entire journey. Not the complete solution. Just the next step. Are you anxious about money? The next step isn't to solve your entire financial situation. It's to do the next responsible thing with what you have now. Are you anxious about relationships? The next step isn't fixing everything at once. It's having that next honest conversation. Are you anxious about the future? The next step isn't having the entire future mapped out. It's living today with integrity, step by step, moment by moment, choice by choice. And at some point in this journey of small steps, something profound changes within you. You realize you're no longer living in constant survival mode. You're breathing deeper, sleeping better. Your jaw is no longer clenched with tension. Anxiety still appears, of course, but it doesn't control you. You recognize when it arrives. You know what to do. You have tools. You have truths to anchor yourself to. You have a history to consult. And most importantly, you have a relationship with God that is not based on fear, but on trust. Because in the end, that's the real transformation Jesus is offering. Not just symptomatic relief from anxiety, but a complete renewal of how you relate to God, to yourself, and to the world. You stop seeing God as a distant judge whom you need to appease through perfect performance, and you begin to see God as a loving Father who cares for you even when you fail. You stop seeing yourself as someone who needs to have everything in order to be acceptable. And you start seeing yourself as someone who is loved in your incompleteness, supported in your fragility, accompanied on your journey. You stop seeing the world as a fundamentally hostile place where you need to be constantly on guard. And you begin to see the world as a place where God is at work, where there is beauty amidst the chaos, where there is purpose even in pain. This shift in perspective, this renewal of the mind, is what the Bible calls transformation. And this is what makes it possible to live without being enslaved by anxiety. Not because your problems have disappeared, but because your relationship with problems has changed. They are no longer existential threats. They are merely temporary circumstances. Challenges to be faced, yes, but not definitions of who you are or your worth. And when you live from that place, when your identity is rooted not in your circumstances, but in God's unchanging love, you have access to a resilience that makes no sense from a logical standpoint. You weather storms and don't break. You walk through dark valleys and don't despair. You deal with devastating losses and still find reasons to keep going. Not because you are strong, but because you are connected to a source of strength that is beyond your control. And that connection, that living and active relationship with the God who created you, knows you, loves you, is the secret that people who live without paralyzing anxiety know. They don't have easier lives. They don't have fewer problems. They aren't more capable, or more intelligent, or more privileged. They simply chose to trust. And they continue to choose to trust, day after day, even when it's difficult. Especially when it's difficult. And you can too. You can start today. Right now, with the next step. It can be a small step. It can be simply acknowledging, I am anxious and I need help. It can be whispering an honest prayer without fancy words, just, God, I don't know how to do this, but I trust that you do. You could read Matthew 6 slowly, not as a religious text, but as a personal letter written to yourself. You could look out the window and really observe the birds, the trees, the sky, and let that observation remind you that there is something bigger happening. It can simply be about bringing your attention back to the present when you realize you're lost in anxiety about the future, again and again and again, as many times as necessary, because that's the practice, that's the journey. It's not linear, it's not quick, it's not without difficulties, but it's possible, it's real, and it's worth it. Because on the other side of anxiety, not on the other side of having all your problems solved, but on the other side of learning to trust amidst the problems, there's a life you didn't even know was possible. A life where you wake up and aren't immediately assaulted by worries. Where you can be present with the people you love without half your mind being elsewhere. Where you can make decisions based on wisdom instead of fear. Where you can sleep at night even when not everything is resolved. This life is available to you. Jesus left the roadmap. The 7 truths are the way. It's not magic, it's practice. The daily practice of trusting, letting go, focusing on the present, seeking the kingdom first, observing evidence of divine care, and choosing whom to trust. And every day that you practice, you become a little freer, a little lighter, a little more alive. Until one day, maybe months from now, maybe years from now, you look back and barely recognize the person you were. The person who lived enslaved by anxiety. The person who carried the weight of the world. The person who thought they had to have everything under control. And you smile, because you've discovered something that no amount of worry could have given you. Peace that surpasses all understanding. Not a circumstantial peace that depends on everything being all right. But an essential peace that remains even when not everything is all right. The peace that comes from knowing you are loved, that you are not alone, that there is purpose even in pain, that the same God who cares for the birds and clothes the lilies is caring for you. And this peace, this freedom, is worth the entire journey. It's worth every difficult step. It's worth every moment of choosing to trust despite the fear. Because in the end, you're not just conquering anxiety. You're learning to live, to truly live, not just survive, but thrive, not just exist, but flourish. And that is the promise. That is the possibility. That is the offer that Jesus makes in Matthew 6, not a life without challenges, but a life where challenges don't define you. A life rooted in something deeper than circumstances. A life that, no matter what happens, remains anchored in eternal truths. The birds fly, the lilies bloom, and you too can live in freedom, in confidence, in peace. Because the same God who cares for them is caring for you. He always has been. He always will be. You just need to choose to believe and keep choosing one day at a time. And when you do that, when you truly embark on that journey of trust, you discover that anxiety wasn't invincible. It was merely a prison whose keys you held all along. And now you are free to live, to love, to be who you were created to be. Free from the chains of anxiety, free from the weight of worry, free from the slavery of fear, free, finally free. And this freedom, this is the abundant life that Jesus promised, not an abundance of things, but an abundance of peace, of purpose, of presence. And it's available to you today, right now. You just need to take the first step, and then the next, and then the next. And before you know it, you'll be living a life you only dreamed was possible. A life without paralyzing anxiety. A life with profound peace. A life rooted in unwavering trust. That is the promise of Matthew 6. And it is for you. But here's something you need to know. This journey doesn't end. There's no point where you completely overcome anxiety and never feel it again. As long as you're alive, in a human body, in an uncertain world, there will be moments of anxiety. Victory is not about never feeling anxious. Victory is about no longer being controlled by it. It's feeling the tightness in your chest and knowing it will pass. It's noticing anxious thoughts arising and having the tools to deal with them. It's recognizing old patterns trying to return and actively choosing a different path. It's like a former smoker who sometimes still feels the urge to smoke, but doesn't. The craving may appear, but it no longer dictates their actions. It has lost its power. Anxiety may arise, but when you have practiced the 7 truths of Matthew 6, when you have built a history of trust, when you have deep roots in something greater than yourself, anxiety can no longer drag you down. You feel it, you recognize it, you breathe through it, you remember the truths, and you move on. It doesn't paralyze you. It doesn't define you. It doesn't steal your life. And over time, the episodes become less frequent, less intense, shorter. Not because you've become perfect, but because you've become a practitioner of trusting, a practitioner of letting go, a practitioner of living in the present. And this practice, this daily moment-by-moment choice, becomes your new way of life. You're no longer constantly battling anxiety. You're simply living differently, living from a different place, living with a different foundation. And that's where true transformation happens. Not in a single dramatic moment, but in 1,000 small moments where you chose differently, where you acted despite fear, where you trusted despite doubt, where you moved forward despite uncertainty. These moments accumulate, and they become your life. A life that isn't perfect, but is free. That isn't without challenges, but is full of peace. That isn't without fear, but is anchored in trust. And when you look at your life, where you were and where you are now, you realize something profound. Jesus' teachings on anxiety weren't just helpful advice. They were an invitation to complete transformation, for a new way of being human in the world, for a new relationship with God, with oneself, with others, with creation, for a life lived not in constant defensive mode, but in openness, not in scarcity, but in gratitude, not in fear, but in love. And this life, this transformed life, is the most powerful testimony you can offer, not through words, but through presence, through the peace people feel when they are around you, through the stability you demonstrate amidst chaos, through the hope you carry even when circumstances are difficult. People will notice. They'll ask, "How can you stay so calm? How are you not terrified? Where does this peace come from?" And then you can share, not as someone who has all the answers, but as someone who has found a path that works, as someone who has discovered truths that transform, as someone who knows a God who is faithful. You can point to the birds and the lilies, just as Jesus did. You can share the 7 truths that changed your life. You can invite others on the same journey that set you free. And perhaps, just perhaps, your journey of overcoming anxiety will become the map that helps someone else find their way. Your story of transformation will become the hope someone needs to take that first step. Because that's how the kingdom of God expands, not through grand speeches, but through transformed lives that become a light to others. Through people who have discovered freedom and can no longer keep it to themselves. You were freed to set others free. You received peace to share peace. You learned to trust so you could teach others to trust. This is the mission. This is the invitation. This is the continuation of the journey, from victim of anxiety to victor over anxiety, to guide others on their journey to conquering anxiety. And it all began with a choice to truly listen to what Jesus was saying, to take the teachings of Matthew 6 seriously, to apply the truths, to practice trust. And now you are here, in this moment, reading these words. And there is a choice before you. You can close this text and continue living as you always have. You can add the ideas to your mental file of interesting things that don't change anything. Or you can decide that it's time to really try, time to apply the truths, time to embark on the journey, time to choose to trust. And if you choose this, if you truly choose it, your life will never be the same again. Not because everything will instantly become easy, but because you will have initiated a transformation that, once started, cannot be undone. You will have proven that there is another way, that it is possible to live without being a slave to anxiety, that Jesus' promise was not empty, and this experience, this personal trial, will change everything. So here's the final invitation. Begin. Today. Now. Don't wait to be ready. Don't wait to have perfect faith. Don't wait for all your doubts to be resolved. Start where you are, with the faith you have, the size of a mustard seed, with all your doubts and fears intact. Begin. Choose one of the 7 truths, just one, and practice it today. Tomorrow you can practice another, but today, just one. Perhaps it's about bringing your attention back to the present every time you realize you're lost in anxiety about the future. That's all day long. Every time you notice it, bring it back. Or perhaps it's about observing, really observing, noticing evidence of divine care, giving thanks, documenting it. Or perhaps it's about letting go, identifying something you're trying to control but can't, and consciously letting go, saying aloud, I can't control this, and I trust that God can. One step, one day, one choice, and then another, and another, and another, until those steps become a path, until that path becomes your journey, until that journey becomes your life, a life of freedom, a life of peace, a life that the birds and lilies already know, but that you are only beginning to discover. This is the possibility. This is the invitation. This is the promise of Matthew 6, and it's available to you. Not tomorrow, not when you're more prepared, not when circumstances improve. Now, today, at this very moment, you just have to choose and keep choosing, one day at a time. And when you do that, when you truly embark on this journey with everything you have, even if it's little, you discover something that no amount of worrying could have revealed. You were never alone. You were always cared for. And you were always loved. And this discovery, this profound revelation that you are loved, that you matter, that you are seen and known and valued by the very God who created the heavens and the earth, this is the truth that sets you free forever from the chains of anxiety. Not because your problems disappeared, but because you discovered something bigger than your problems. Someone greater, a deeper truth, a stronger love, and nothing, absolutely nothing, can separate you from that love. Neither anxiety, nor fear, nor uncertainty, neither circumstances, nor the future, nothing. And when you know this, when you truly understand this, not just intellectually but experientially, you are free. Free to live, free to love, free to be who you were created to be, without the chains, without the weight, without the slavery, just free. And this freedom, this is the legacy that Jesus offered 2,000 years ago on a mountain, and it's still available for you, for anyone who chooses to accept it. Do you choose?